Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to find out what would happen if a man had all the attributes of the Mulan song. So, being as swift as the coursing river, having the force of a great typhoon, having the strength of a raging fire, and being as mysterious as the dark side of the moon. Don't lie, you all sang that. Alright, now keep in mind, not all of this is going to be super accurate as to the fact that this was done by two high school seniors with, well, maybe questionable intelligence. And this is the last week of the school year, so our level of caring has reached approximately 0. So, here we go! Starting with, as swift as the coursing river. Taking the world's fastest river, the Atrato River in Colombia, and converting its voluminal speed to linear speed by cube rooting it, we find that the linear speed of a coursing river is 16.98 meters per second, which is equal to 37.98 miles per hour. To put that into perspective, the fastest man alive, Usain Bolt, has been recorded to achieving a top speed of 28 miles per hour. Though this is not nearly as fast as a cheetah, this puts you at an approximate speed equal to a velociraptor and a little slower than a Tyrannosaurus Rex. But what if we round this to being faster than Usain Bolt by a factor of 2 and also apply it to reaction time? Because, well, that would be awesome. Neuroscientists have found that the human reaction time is a quarter of a second. Dividing that by 2, we find that our superhuman has a reaction time of 0.125 seconds, or 1/8 of a second. Now, does that mean he can dodge a bullet? The Mythbusters find that the average speed of a bullet is around 2,500 feet per second, or 1,700 miles per hour. We will divide this distance by 8, because our found reaction time is 1/8 of a second, and we will find that our individual is capable of dodging a bullet as close as 312.5 feet from the gun, which is a little shorter than the length of a football field. So, put simply, the speed alone of our superhuman should make any Hun quake in fear. Now, on the strength of a raging fire. We compared the strength of a raging fire to the biggest natural fiery explosion we could accurately measure, the explosion of Mount St. Helens. St. Helens exploded with an explosive force of 24 megatons of force, more than 1,600 times the explosive force of the Hiroshima bomb. If our superhuman were to punch someone in Salt Lake City, Utah, most simply, they'd be vaporized, with a fireball with a radius of 4.48 kilometers and a thermal radiation reaching 40.7 kilometers away, all the way to Clearfield, Utah, and almost reaching Utah Lake. The nuclear fallout reaching deep into North Dakota, so probably sufficient to defeat us. Alright, on the force of a great typhoon. For those who don't know, a typhoon is simply a tropical cyclone, and are measured in categories 1 through 5, 5 being the most intense. To find what kind of power would come from a typhoon applied to our superhuman, we will use the equation force equals mass times acceleration. The minimal speed of a Category 5 typhoon is 280 kilometers an hour, or 77.78 meters per second. Multiplied by the mass of the average human hand, 5 kilograms, our resultant force is equal to 388.9 newtons. So, what does that translate to? This is equivalent to a force of 87.43 pounds of force, the weight of your average 9th grade kid. But what would this do to the Huns? This is more than sufficient to break a nose, 9 pounds of force, and most of the smaller bones of the human body, but by itself is not all that impressive. However, the previously determined strength and swiftness of our individual more than makes up for that. Finally, mysterious as the dark side of the moon. We know more about the moon than the Earth's ocean, but that still isn't much, especially when it comes to our researchers here. Based on a survey that we took, the average mysterious of an individual is 80% on a scale of 1 to 100. Because our superhuman is mysterious as the dark side of the moon, and the dark side of the moon is half of the total moon, that means our individual is 160% on the mysteriousness scale. So, put simply, less people have seen or even heard of our superhuman than Bigfoot, and far less than the Ninki Nanka, which honestly none of you know about. And there you have it. You now know what would happen if someone were as swift as the coursing river, had the force of a great typhoon, the strength of a raging fire, and were mysterious as the dark side of the moon, according to two high school seniors.